What is going on, everybody? It's Alex coming back at you with another video. And today we are going to be kicking off the positional rankings groups. I know I already did the quarterbacks, but honestly, post-combine, these are the ones that really matter. Wide receivers. So if you guys are looking forward to all the other positional groups, feel free to drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, going to be doing this almost every single day. Now, this is recorded a little bit in advance because I'm going to New Orleans for my birthday. So pretty awesome. I'm pretty happy about that. But this is Tuesday at about 3 o'clock. So the biggest news was that Brian Bulaga just got released. So if you guys are keeping up with that, which, by the way, guys, I already have a video. It's probably already up about NFL offseason with free agency stuff. So if you guys like that stuff too, feel free to check it out. And we'll be having some mock drafts coming after the big days of free agency. So very excited about that. But without further ado, let's kick in right into the video with the number one receiver on the board, Garrett Wilson. Huge fan of him. You know, I think that he's a phenomenal player. He's been my number one wide receiver since the beginning, has not faltered, has not changed. Yeah, I mean, huge fan of him. He's been just absolutely dominant this year. Moved from slot to boundary wide receiver flawlessly. I love that about him. Tested 4.38. Everybody was saying he was going to be 4.5s. I thought that was BS, and well, it was. So yeah, I mean, I saw the speed on tape. I actually had him faster than Chris Olave, which technically I wasn't wrong. You know, it was like 4.38 versus 4.39, but still a phenomenal player. Huge fan of what he can bring to the team. Yeah, I mean, he's super good after the catch. That's why I kept sending him to the Patriots at the start of the year. But unfortunately, he does have some things that are a little bit of a negative. He might not have a number one frame. Yeah, he's around 190 pounds at 6 foot. That's not ideal, but I think he can certainly prove to be worth it as a true number one, especially if you pair him up with somebody like a Treylon Burks type, more with that larger wide receiver, which you might see us talk about later on. So yeah, I have him projected in the top 13. I don't think he gets past the Browns, even though they got Amari Cooper. Again, we don't even know if Deshaun Watson will be going there or not. I honestly think he will, which hurts as a Steelers fan, but it's also kind of cool because you get to watch him against the Steelers twice a year. That aside, I think that the team that's probably going to go after him is going to be the Falcons. They're at number 8 overall. You know, wide receiver has proven to be a very big key asset now. The wins above replacement has just jumped up tremendously when you're able to actually give a super weapon to a good quarterback. So yeah, we've seen the value of wide receiver increase, and his value is going to be tremendous to a team that wasn't even able to keep Russell Gage. They didn't get DJ Shark. By this time, they probably signed some wide receivers. Regardless, I still think that there's a very high chance that Garrett Wilson is your guy here. So yeah, big fan of that one. On to my number 2 guy, Drake London out of USC. The guy's phenomenal. 6'4". Well, he's like 6'3", 7/8 inches. Crazy shit. I know he was listed 6'5", but it's USC. They listed Amon-Ra St. Brown at 6'1". You know, so yeah, I mean, he's 6'4". The guy is absolutely dominant. He's my favorite wide receiver there since his true freshman year. Just his ability to catch the ball and be able to do stuff after the catch at 6'4" is ridiculous. He's one of those players where it's very tough to pretty much like kind of put a title on him, like put a tag. Like you can say Mike Williams, but I think he's a lot more dynamic than that. Say Mike Evans, but I honestly think he's better. Like, again, no disrespect to Mike Evans here. I really love Drake London. I know a lot of people do. 79.5 is 0.5 off from a top 15 on my board grade. I still think he goes top 13. You could even see him going number 11 to Washington. If Atlanta wants him and sees him as a true X, he could be the first wide receiver off the board. Only issue is that he might not be in that 4.4 range, might be around that 4.5. And then he also has some injury concerns after finishing off the year last year with, I believe, an ankle injury. It's a little bit tough, but I do think that the Jets, and at the end of the day, nab him at 10. You know, if we're considering that number 8 is going to be Garrett Wilson, you still definitely want somebody like Drake London who can play in the slot, can play on the boundary. Both of those guys would be phenomenal gets for the Jets. Number 3, we got Jahan Dotson. I mean, I love him to death. Yeah, it's a very rare top 3. I know that. Like, usually the top 2 are pretty consensus, but when it goes to number 3, not many people have Jahan here, but I do. I'm a huge fan of his game. You know, I watched the first couple of seconds of the Michigan game and was really unimpressed. But after you watch a quarter of that game, for some reason, there was something wrong with him in the first quarter. he just turned it on. And then every single snap that I watched after that, every game, he was just absolutely dominant. Made Roger McCreary look like a child. He made him look like he was playing his high schoolers or a pickup game. Like Jahan Dotson's a freak. I just love him all around. The thing is that, like, while you talk about Garrett Wilson not having a good release package, Jahan Dotson definitely somebody that could get up there, be able to have a nice variety of releases. And then he's had a really, like, no disrespect to Sean Clifford, but he's not an NFL caliber quarterback. And Jahan Dotson was able to bring in a lot of balls that were not on target. So big fan of that. And pretty sure he has like a 2% drop rate, which is ridiculous. Something in that range, something very low. But of course, at his size, I think he's sub 6 foot. He's not going to be contested catch threat. That's going to be the big problem. And again, he's not Treylon Burks size. But, when you think about it, I don't think he's going to be the third wide receiver off the board by any stretch of the imagination. I would love it. But I think that a team like the Packers, who are really looking for a dedicated, every single down, going to perform type of guy, is going to be Jahan Dotson. If he goes anywhere else, I mean, that team's getting absolute steal. So I love it. Number 4, we got Treylon Burks here. Yeah, I mean, that 4.55 pushed him just a little bit below. If you guys are keeping track, that draft grade down there is kind of representative of where I actually have them. And I'm pretty proud of my ranking scale because it actually works really well. When I have an idea of where a player should be, usually the grading system ends up putting that player in about that range. So Burks was originally my wide receiver 2, had to lower him by like maybe 1.5 on the speed because you see that there were the rumors of 4.38, but also against Alabama, even he was able to just pick up speed and toast guys. So I think that once he gets his acceleration down, I think his top speed is a lot higher than what that 4.55 suggests. A little bit of a slow starter, but definitely I think he's a very strong finisher. I think he's going to be able to kick ass at the next level as a good deep threat. But yeah, he's really good after the catch as well. Pretty dominant guy, and he can play on the boundary, but that's kind of an issue is that he played mainly in the slot. So you see that over the negatives. And I honestly thought they took off a couple of plays. I saw him standing still in the middle of play sometimes. And I'm not a huge fan of that. So honestly, if you don't factor that in, he could be your wide receiver 2. But yeah, I mean, I love his ability. He can just go up and get it as well. Obviously around 230 pounds, 225 pounds at 6'3" is an amazing frame as well. He just needs to continue developing his route running, which he didn't really do that much this year, which is a little bit of an oof, but on a team like the Eagles that are looking for someone, they tried to get Juju Smith-Schuster last year. I think, would be definitely a big get. Of course, again, by the time this video drops, which will honestly just be probably one day like from now, we could even see a team like the Eagles go after him. So if any of that happens, check in the comment section below, or not in the comment section, in the description, because I might have updated my thoughts there. So yeah, we got next is my big one. Here we go. I'm ready to get some hate on this one. Alec Pierce out of Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, I'm in awe of this dude. The guy's phenomenal. And I might have purposely dropped his grade a little bit just to be able to make it a little bit more reasonable. But yeah, I mean, when you watch this guy play, of course, I only watched him against Alabama and Notre Dame, which are the only competitive games that he's really played against high level competition. So I wanted to look at him versus the best talent. He was the best player in the field, arguably. I saw him and I'm like, damn, I used to be like, Desmond Ridder doesn't have that much and he makes these guys look good. Like, no, this guy is phenomenal. He awkwardly reminds me a little bit of what Cooper Kupp is, and don't take that too seriously. But a guy of his size, just with that route running ability, and he's honestly faster than Cooper too. He's a good deep threat. I do have an issue with his drops though. His hands are a bit of a concern, but I mean, Tony Gonzalez also had that issue. He ended up working and putting on the jugs machine 200 balls after every single practice. He told me that himself. So that was pretty cool memory. But yeah, I mean, his only issues are really those drops. And then he also has some kind of like mediocre run after the catch. He tries. So he definitely has it there and you can see it, but he's not obviously very effective after the catch. And if I'm not mistaken, he had actually like a fractured leg or something. Just look up Alec Pierce injury and then it will probably pop up for you guys. That's just the easiest way. If you guys are wondering how I know about injuries, that's just the easiest way to do it. And you just scroll through and see if he has any injuries. But yeah, I mean, the guy actually runs routes phenomenally. He ran a 4.41 at 6'3", which is phenomenal. And again, he has a basketball background. So I'm a huge fan of him. And the best thing, he is one of the top 2 guys with a great release package. So cheers to him. Now we got to go into 6A. This is one of the guys who I almost didn't put on here because I don't have him officially graded. Thank you, All 22 plug, for not doing that. It is what it is. But yeah, Skyy Moore has been getting a shit ton of hype, and it's well deserved. I mean, I know how, like, you guys know me, I'm far from willing to knock somebody crazily down for being a Western Michigan wide receiver. I had Dwayne Eskridge as a late first last year. Like, I was a big fan of him. But Skyy Moore is still, from the tape that I have seen, I mean, you just hear everything about him. Everybody loves his release package. The guy ran in the 4.4s, and he's definitely someone who could be a very solid asset as a route runner. And again, he is a true junior, so he definitely got a liking from the board. The board gave him a grade that he liked. He decided to come out. But yeah, I think he's around 190 pounds at 6 foot, if I'm not mistaken. And again, he's not going up against Alabama competition all the time. I do think a team like the Colts could be a phenomenal destination. I forgot to say that about Alec Pierce. He kind of feels like a Raven, larger receiver, good ball tracking. That'd be good. But Skyy Moore seems like he's going to be in that top 45 range. I think that's a good location for him. Next, we got Chris Olave. Yeah, I mean, I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one, but you know, it is what it is. Chris Olave is he's a really solid number 2. He's just never been the number 1, and that's my big issue with him. But surprisingly, he's actually really good at the contested catch game. It's just like he had 62.5%, which is awesome. And you just see how he's able to adjust mid-route to the ball. And I think all you people, so apologies about that. I think all you people who come to the aid of, oh, wow, I just bugged on his name right as I was about to shit on him too. Oh, that's so funny. But the quarterback for Ohio State, you guys think he's pinpoint accurate, and he's not. I don't know how many times I wrote down in my notes that the quarterback is complete garbage. Sue me, honestly. I swear to God. I watch every single snap of these guys. I make sure that I see every single target. And Chris Olave, as well as Garrett Wilson, are the only reason why anybody thinks that the quarterback's accurate. CJ Stroud, by the way, that's the name. I was literally bugging in my head. I saw his face the whole time. But yeah, CJ Stroud is only good because these 2 wide receivers and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Honestly, come at me for that. But yeah, that's just more props to Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson. Just, they're definitely very solid dudes. And I know Chris Olave would be an amazing number 2 or number 3 receiver. I didn't really think he was that good after the catch, and he didn't get that much separation this year when I saw him play. So it's a bit of an oof, and he's obviously not a number 1 frame. But I think a team like the Patriots could get their Devontae Smith for Mac Jones here. I would be a big fan of that one. Now, since we did 6A, 6B, we're going to skip number 7 to go to number 8, Jameson Williams. So people might say, he's your number 8 wide receiver? That's ridiculous. If you look at the talent gap, I mean, my number 6 wide receiver was a 73 versus a 71. It's not that big of a difference. And again, I think there are those tiers. Jameson is going to be a really good number 2. I think those guys could all be potentially number 1 producers. I would probably put my money on the top 2 being actual number 1s, but these guys are kind of more that guaranteed number 2, number 3 wide receiver on a team. I would take Jameson Williams any day of the week if I had a solidified 1, like the Saints do. So I think that'd be a big plus for them. But man, the guy is just an absolute burner. And after the catch, he just pops off the screen. But, you know, there are a lot of negatives that come to his game. He obviously has an ACL tear. People are saying he's not going to pay the injury tax. That's why I have him going in the top 18 still. But he definitely had a really poor release package, did not have it very developed. Route running was not spectacular. Obviously, it just wasn't a very good route runner. I mean, you look at his size. I think he came sub 180, and that's not going to be great. He's not going to be very versatile if you can't use him in that role. He's going to be pretty much a primary deep threat / throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. That's not exactly a wide receiver that you want in the top 15. But when you're a team like the New Orleans Saints, that could be just nabbing him and putting him as your wide receiver 2. That's something you could definitely do, and something that I would love to gift Jameis Winston. Number 9, we got Jalen Tolbert here. Yeah, he actually has a higher grade. Yeah, look at that. He actually was my wide receiver 6 before I forgot about Skyy Moore too. But it's true, when you play lesser competition, also he has a pretty, he has an injury history as well. then you don't really deserve the title compared to the guys who've been playing extremely well against a very high level competition. But that being said, he may not be the elite route runner that you're looking for, or somebody like Garrett Wilson, who's great after the catch, but he does a great job being able to separate with speed, as well as he's again, an all right separator. Not an all right separator. He's an all right route runner. It's like a kind of a slight negative. He has a good enough hands, and I actually saw him. He has one of the highest graded release packages in this class as well. Just somebody who's pretty damn developed overall. And he tested not as fast as I thought he would, but he definitely plays with some extreme burning. And his quarterback, I was talking about CJ Stroud and Clifford being crap. The quarterback for South Alabama is 10,000 times worse. So that's why I fell in love with Jalen Tolbert before. And yeah, so overall, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, given their lack of an actual true bigger bodied receiver, like around 6'2", 6'3", that might be a good target for them to add another weapon to the fray. Number 10, we got George Pickens here. Yeah, I think that he's a second round grade for me, but he didn't grade out that way just because he came back from injury as well. That's the only issue. But I didn't really think that he was an elite separator. He tested pretty well. Small hands aren't very great, but when you watch it actually translates to the actual field. So I care about how his hands work on the field rather than what it is on a measurement chart. He was by far the best release package guy in the draft. Yeah, the guy was extremely polished, and you look at his size, 6'3", 200, he's built to be a number one. So you could even put him way higher than this, but again, it is what it is. And there's highlight reels of him just throwing DBs, like just straight up off the line. Not like, oh, well, you're going to get engaged and throw them to the ground. No, he just straight up push them and they just fly. I love it. Again, 4.47 speed at that size as well. It's pretty awesome, but I didn't really think he was great after the catch and wasn't the most explosive guy in the world. Still tested out very well. I like that. Of course, the injury is what hampered him this year, torn ACL, but he came back. And I just don't really think you're going to be using him in any role except for maybe just a true X on the outside. Not a bad thing. And you know what? I decided to toss this in. Some honorable mentions here. I almost said honorable Meltons. Yeah, Calvin Austin hasn't gotten a grade yet. There's just not enough tape out there on him, and there's nothing recent to the All-22. That's a bit unfortunate, but through the tape, I think that he's going to be going in the second round to the Cowboys, especially since Cedric Wilson's gone. People who start shitting on me for that, they're going to start thanking me for it very soon. Wandale seems like a perfect guy for the Raiders to nab late 2, if not early 3. Good trade back candidate. And yeah, it's a really good guy to replace Henry Ruggs with. John Mechie, I think, is going to fall to the 3rd. Definitely graded out pretty solidly. I like him overall, but he just feels like an on sale Jerry Jeudy, and probably a clearance section Jerry Jeudy at that. But I think a team like the Texans would love to be able to snag him and be able to add a pretty high floor receiver. And then Christian Watson, the North Dakota State connection there. Honestly, he's a guy who is pretty much a worse version of Alec Pierce with more speed. And you don't really need much more speed for Alec Pierce. So Christian Watson certainly could be a really good weapon for San Fran, but I highly doubt his effectiveness elsewhere. Then you got David Bell. I think he's like a 3rd rounder for the Bears. Just nothing really special to him. Ran 4.6 something, like 4.65. And I said he was supposed to run 4.7. I wasn't a huge fan of him, but he's really good after the catch. Some team like the Bears would really like to get the ball in his hands and let him work in the short game. Not going to stretch the field at all, but of course, that's why you have Darnell Mooney. And then Bo Melton just feels like, you're adding an extra guy who could stretch the field. I would really like that, especially for the Bills, who could always use more speed and some really good deep talent, somebody who played up north. So definitely someone you can add. And if you guys want to see my Bo Melton grade, pretty sure it's just like a 63.75. So that's why I wanted to include him here. All the guys who are pretty much day 1, day 2 dudes. So that's going to be the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys are excited for the future of this series. See you on the far side. Peace.